going to demonstrate how to make a special roll we call the Fisherman's roll. To make this roll, we're going to need thinly sliced cucumbers, a small amount of hamachi for inside of the roll, about 5 thin slices of hamachi for on top of the roll, a quarter of an avocado, a small amount of masago or Kaplan roe, and some hot sauce. Now to make this roll, we're going to start with a half sheet of nori on the cutting board, with the rough side facing up. This is a good habit to get into because when making hoso makis, or the sushi rolls with the seaweed on the outside, we want the shiny side facing out. It will be more presentable this way. Then we're going to dampen our hands before we grab roughly 150 grams of sushi rice. We want to dampen our hands so the sushi rice does not stick to them. Lightly pack the sushi rice into a small ball and then spread it across the nori, carrying to cover the surface entirely. We want the rice spread evenly over the entire surface of the nori. Care not to press the rice too hard when applying it to the nori. We don't want to mash the rice grains. We want the rice grains to retain their original form. Once the sheet of nori is covered in rice, we can flip the sheet of nori over, exposing the bare nori side. Then place the ingredients we want inside of the roll across the center lengthwise. We'll start with a line of hot sauce, and then apply the hamachi evenly across the center, followed by the cucumbers. Now it's time to wrap our sushi roll up. Start with the side closest to us and take the nori and wrap it over the top of the ingredients and make sure it's tight. Then continue to wrap until the far side of the nori ends up at the bottom. We want to make sure our sushi roll is wrapped tightly because if not, it will just fall apart when the customer picks it up. At this point, we're ready to top the roll. Let's prepare some avo slices. Take our quarter of an avo and slice it roughly into 6 slices. We want them fairly thin. Then let's take a slice and put it on each end of the roll. And then we'll layer a piece of hamachi right next to it. And then another slice of avo, followed by another slice of hamachi. And we'll continue this pattern until the top of the roll is covered. It's important that we don't lay our avo slices directly on top of the hamachi, but have part of the avo slice under one hamachi piece, but then resting on top of another hamachi piece. This will give the top of the roll a very nice visual appearance. At this point, we're ready to cover with saran wrap and then press and shape with our makisu. It's important to note that the makisu has a flat side and a rounded side, and we want to make sure the flat side is facing down when we press the roll to avoid any sort of indentation marks. We want to put pressure down and then slightly in at the base of the roll. We want to apply even pressure across the entire roll so the shape stays consistent. It's important when pressing the roll to apply enough pressure to form and shape the roll, but not too much. We don't want to mash the rice grains. We want the rice grains to retain their original form. Also, if there's any loose rice on either end of the sushi roll, or you may find that the ingredients may have been trying to be pressed out the end, we can adjust our makisu and give a slight tap on each end to clean it up. Now it's time to cut this roll. And because this roll has fish on top, we recommend cutting it into 8 pieces. To do this, we're going to start by cutting the roll directly in half. And then with one of these halves, we're going to cut it in half again, and then both of these halves in half. So this will leave us with 4 equal pieces from half of the sushi roll. We'll do the same thing with the other half. This should leave us with 8 equal pieces. Now that we've cut our roll, it's time to plate. First, remove the plastic wrap. Then separate the pieces by sliding them apart, instead of pulling them away from each other, as to avoid pulling any of the inside ingredients out. Also, we want to hide the end pieces by flipping them around, so that the front of the sushi roll, or the side that's served facing towards the customer, is displaying all clean cut sides. To plate this, we're going to go from corner to corner. We're going to spread the sushi pieces apart and then make sure they're halfway overlapping each other like so. Now that we have our fisherman's roll plated, it's time to top with some masago or Kaplan roe. And here is our completed fisherman's roll.